All right, everybody. I had an issue this morning come up where a parent had reached out and asking for some data on the last couple of months of training. Their athlete has been super consistent, been doing awesome, um, and they needed some data on how they're doing. The parent was very understanding that it's only been a couple of months, but that was also what they were sold on, is being able to show progress. And going back through their team builder, we've clearly missed the boat. I would never be upset with like regression. Um, those things happen, and we'll talk about that. But not having the data is completely unacceptable. Not That's something we have to change right away. We needed to change 2 months ago because for this athlete alone. But not only that, we've got Iowa Impact Coaching meeting coming up next week where we've got almost 100 athletes um, that are in the program that need to be seen showing progress. Right, this is how we're judged. And so this is an issue that came up, and we need to reset some coaching standards. So I'm gonna go over a couple things today, right now, that has to happen, has to change today. And then on Monday's meeting, we're gonna re-go through some of this stuff and make sure that everybody understands the different processes. If there's something that they didn't understand and they've missed, then we're gonna go through that too. But this has to be universal throughout every coach in our EP system. So quick coaching standards reset here. All right, why this matters. I kind of mentioned this already, but our product is results, right? It's objectively improved strength, speed, agility. That's what we're selling, right? We give the experience to the athletes, but we're selling the data to the parents. The parents are the ones buying the product, right? And if they're not in here working out, getting to know us, enjoying the workouts, giving those high fives, doing the work, all they see is a debit on their credit statement every month, right? So all they're knowing is that they're paying for something, they want to see something in return. We know these athletes, they don't go home and talk about the great things that are happening. We are doing that work. We need to be able to show them these objective changes in their athletic ability of their kids. And they deserve that, right? They paid us for exactly that, to see an objective change. So we have to be able to track that. This is the biggest thing that irritates me and that I want to drive home, is that this is what I'm selling, right? So our systems are set up so that we're having these conversations with coaches, with clubs, with parents constantly in person, on the phone, through Grow, text message, etc. We're selling these results. The fact that they'll come train consistently, you should be able to track on your app, watch these people, watch their numbers get better. If that's not happening, then we have sold a service that we're not producing. And that's a massive break in integrity, right? Which is, we can't stand for that at all. So this is something that has to be happening every single time. We need measurable improvement, objective data, professional systems. And we're gonna go through all of those different things really quick today. All right, data collection, non-negotiable. Once again, team builder, every athlete should have this. It's either on their iPad or it's on their phone. Step one, they have to have it. If any athlete's been with us for more than a day, to be honest, but certainly a week, months, and don't have a team builder account, that's a massive failure on our part. We need to look at the coach. The coaches have responsibility to make sure that the team builders account for every single kid. And then going one step further, making sure that they're actually putting in their data, right? So I like the example down in Martinsdale with Mason. When we first got started down there, getting athletes to use their team builder was like pulling teeth. It was so difficult, but it's absolutely necessary, because if we're going to get that contract year over year, we have to show the superintendent and show the AD, the people that are not in the room with us every day, that those numbers are improving. If we don't have those numbers, why would they ever continue to keep us the next year, right? That's the only, quote unquote, proof that we have that our program works. It's what we sold them on. So when we got started, it was very difficult. What we had to do was every single session, before and after the session, we talked about Team Builder. How you have to have your account. You have to show us it. Then we were still having issues. Again, there's like 30 kids in the class, and some of them were slacking off. So then we actually made it a point in the for their gym grade that they were getting graded on if they had their Team Builder stuff. So they actually had to walk up and show us every single time. Again, that's 30 kids. We can do that when we've got classes that are capped at like 16 here. We can absolutely have them show us every single time, whether that's on the iPad or on our phone. It is your responsibility as the coach to make sure that every single session they have their data put into Team Builder in some way or some fashion. If they missed a workout or missed a session, or an exercise in a session, again, that's on the coach to go into Team Builder. There's great tools in there to say, couldn't do this because of so-and-so injury, regress to something else. That's within your scope. That's your responsibility as a coach to do it during that session. Everybody's got a team builder. Vauld, we're using this for our performance data. Now, we have the tech. We've invested in the technology. We have to be using it. If we're using it, it's programmed in the sessions. Use it correctly. If you're using it on just the coach's account and they just have their numbers, those numbers vanish if you don't immediately take those and transfer them. The athlete has to put it into their team builder and make sure that it's in their system, right? That should be happening, but one step further, every athlete needs a Vault account as well so that they can get their performance data and they sign into their account when they do their testing, and it is uploaded into the Vault system so that we have every athlete a continuous database of objectively improving performance data that has to be in there. If we don't have data, we don't have proof, right? And once again, we've lacked integrity because we've sold something we're not producing. Coaching is reflected in the results. Again, a lot of this does come down to the athlete needs to take some responsibility and put it in their phone, but, and this is a big but, their parents are paying us to ensure that's happening. We have to recognize that. Parents can pay Planet Fitness $10 a month to go there and pretend to do the workouts, right? When they're in here, they're paying us a significant amount more and they're justifying your salary because you're a coach that is going to hold them to a standard to make sure that they're working hard, that they're actually implementing the intent, doing the test, putting the test results into their app every single session, completely non-negotiable every single session. Then when we have testing, again, you guys have to recognize that this is how you're judged. This is how the entire program is judged. Our success is based off of these improvements in these scores. So when you have a testing session, this should not be a passive event. An athlete comes in, warm them up, explain to them the importance of how important this testing session is so that we can show our results. So all that work that you've done shows up in these numbers and you can see objectively and show out that we have improved in our athletic ability. So coach the test. When they come, warm them up, coach the test, explain the intent, demand the intent, get their best out of them, turn the music up, get things going. Progress is the goal. And I want to continue to reiterate this, that progress is the goal. We've sold objective data. Selling objective data doesn't always mean progress. Regression happens, and we know that, and we can explain that, right? If regression's happening because they're in the middle of a season, or they got sick, or any number of things that are going on within their lives, that's more data for us. We need to know that. Or if nothing's going on and they're still regressing, that's data. We need to come together and say, what's going on? Why is this person not getting better? If we don't have any numbers, we can't make any inferences. We can't improve the program. And again, we're not producing what we've sold. So if regression happens, that's not a reflection of you as a coach at all. Progress is the goal, but when regression happens, what is a reflection is now all the coaches come together and say, why is this person going backwards? Is there a reason? And is there a reason that we can help them get over that hump? But that's a terrible reason to avoid the data. We never do that, all right? And then one of the last things here is coaching. We just have to increase our standards here. Check-ins. I went back and started looking at check-ins. Guys, this is step one stuff. When people come into the workout, they absolutely have to be checked in. And yes, we ask the athletes to do that on the iPad before the class, but again, we're being paid to ensure that that's happening. So when they come into the workout, make sure that you check on your phone or on the iPad that every athlete that trained that day was checked in. That keeps their membership accurate and current, and make sure that we're protecting ourselves because it makes sure that they have signed their waiver. These are important, so important, and completely vital. It's more important than anything. All right, every athlete, every session, and it is 100% on that coach. It's their coach's responsibility to make sure that they are checked in for that workout. We've talked about this in the past, and we're going to reiterate this and hammer on it here in the future. Environment sets the standard. We cannot get lazy with this. Music is on. It's loud when it's appropriate. Energy is high. Your presence matters. So, for an example, if there is 3 kids that show up to a workout, that's kind of tough. Energy's a little bit lower, right? That doesn't mean you get the hour off and we just hang out, right? I think, in my mind, it gives you an opportunity to even raise your standards as a coach and use those 3 as, hey, what limitations can I pick out? What are these people's specific goals? How can I coach in between sets and help people with certain things to show them that I'm actually paying attention to where they're at and where they want to go, right? Regress, progress, change the exercises for these people. And that's down here, every athlete's being coached. Every single session, every athlete's being coached. Yes, we write a generic program that's good for athleticism, for most of the athletes that we see, but you should be individualizing coaching every single session. Progress or regress an exercise every time. That should happen with even if it's just one athlete that goes through a workout. I guarantee you there's something that needs to be changed or individualized for that person every day. Make intentional changes. So once again, if you've identified a specific goal or a specific limitation with an athlete, show them that you know that and you're working on it by coaching in between sets and grabbing them during a rest period. Hey, I noticed that your ankle mobility has been struggling lately, or you rolled your ankle. Let's give you this corrective exercise or this little thing that you can work on it during your rest period. That goes a long way, and that earns our check from the parent. That's what we've sold. Add value constantly. Find out how you can. If there's a downtime and nobody's talking, let's talk about goals, right? Bring up nutrition, bring up sleep, the things that you guys are experts on. Show and demonstrate your expertise. All right, that's the end of this for today. Sorry I'm ranting a little bit frustrated, if we're going to be totally honest. I think I'm frustrated because I feel a lack or a disconnect in what I've sold versus the product that I'm now about to produce. For a specific person that's asked and for coaches that are asking constantly, right? And that's completely unacceptable in my mind because it's just not who I am. It's not who EP is. It's not what we are. And you're all on the team for a specific reason because I know that you can deliver that type of service and integrity and quality in a product. So I'm holding us to this standard. Last thing I want to say is I don't want to babysit anybody, and I never will. That's just not the environment that we've set up. The checklist is about as close as I'll get to that, right? I do want to hold more constant coaching evaluations, which we'll do, and give honest feedback to each other. But more than anything, I need you guys to accept that, like, when you're coaching, it's your responsibility to hammer these things and do them well. Show out, right? Like, take some pride in what you're doing and do it well. Do it really well. And if you have questions, ask. Let's increase our standards here. On Monday, we're gonna have a meeting. I'll make sure I'm there at the coaches meeting. Let's start going through this. We've got a lot of the systems kind of nailed down at this point, especially with new clubs. Let's start going through our coaching standards and really elevating as a team here. I think there's a lot of room to grow. All right, thanks.